I could have died.
I think we're onto something good. I think we're onto something good. Don't let it get away. This could be everything. You know I gotta say, I think we're onto something.
We could have lost everything. Thank goodness that we have a way to stop this from happening. I went to the post office. I was only gone about 15 minutes, and I returned to find a weird hissing sound. And I was looking all around trying to figure out what it was. And then as I got out of the truck, I could smell propane. So there was a leak, and I have yet to figure out where it was. But here's the deal. When we were at the Tampa RV show, we were given gas stops. We were sponsored by Mike and the crew from Gas Stops. So I've got gas stops for the trailer. And I had them on the other trailer, and I took them off because we had to put it on the new trailer. You'll be able to hit us up in our comments about how we ended up with a different but new trailer, or new trailer that's the same. I'm not sure how that goes. All I can say is thank you, Alliance, for doing the right thing. Ryan, Coley, Bill, Jeremiah, all the people that are at the top of the A-team and all the members of the A-team, thank you very much. But as always, when you have a new trailer, there's always bugs that have to be worked out. This was one that kind of caught me off guard, and now I wish I'd taken the time to put on our gas stops, because the gas stop would have prevented what happened yesterday. So as I'm going forward here, I'm going to look inside and see what I have to do to repair this, and you'll be able to hear the differences. I won't repair it until after I put the gas stop on. So I'm going to open the valve. You'll be able to hear the hissing sound of propane running out. And then I'm going to put the gas stop on and do the same thing. Fortunately, I got extensions from Mike and the gang at Gas Stops when we were at the Tampa RV show in 23. And so I'm going to be able to put on a new extension if the hose is bad, but we'll have to figure that out along the way. And the guys at Gas Stop were kind enough to give us an opportunity to have a discount code. Obviously, it's going to always be in the descriptions. And we were given the opportunity to give a gas stop away. And you'll be able to see right after we get done with this just how important it was that we did the gas stops. And if you don't have them, you take a chance on losing your whole trailer. You can search YouTube and find RVs on fire. And it's either a fire from the propane tank or a fire from the refrigerators. And if you have a gas electric refrigerator, you use propane when you're going down the road. And sometimes them bouncing around will cause a hose to break or a connection to break. And so while you're going down the road, one of the connections breaks, and suddenly you're introducing propane, unburned propane, into the system. And if it's hot enough, the trailer will catch fire. There's always that controversy. Do you use your propane while you're going down the road to keep your refrigerator cold? Some people don't think that's a good idea. Some people say that I do it anyway. They don't really care. But when it's all said and done in the end, it's not exactly the safest thing in the world to do. And one of the reasons that we chose Alliance is everything in the trailer is 12 volt. All the lights, the furnace runs on 12 volts. The refrigerator runs on 12 volts. The only thing that runs on electricity, 120 AC, alternating current, is the air conditioners, of which we have 3, the microwave, and the TV in the main room. Even the TVs in the front and the back are 12 volt. So that's one of the reasons we went with Alliance. So we don't have to worry about that going down the road. The 12 volt refrigerator stays cold all the time. But here we're going to get into fixing and getting the gas stops reinstalled. And this is one of the ones that we have to give away. And you'll notice that it's just a quick, simple put on. This screws on, and this one screws on where you have your normal valve. So this goes on the tank. This is where your hose goes in. And then it senses if there's a pressure loss, and it uses a ball bearing. And if you see how they work inside, they're pretty awesome. But we'd like to thank Mike and all the crew that helped us out with these at the show. And this is the one that's available for giveaway. So if you'd like to be considered, in the comments you can leave a comment and say you'd like to be entered, and then show us that you signed up for our emails and all that fun stuff, and we will draw from that shortly. And here we go. We're going to get back into working with and fixing our propane. And now we're going to introduce you to a scary sound that is something to be very afraid of if you full-time RV, because you can lose everything in a heartbeat. Here we go. And now technically that sound you just heard should have been taken care of by an internal valve that's in the actual tank itself. But in this case, it's not doing its job. And because of that, I lost a significant amount of propane. God only knows how much. Fortunately, there were no sparks around here that caused it to take a chance on exploding, catching fire. All of those would have been really bad because everything we have is in the trailer. Between the truck and the rig, we live full time. So this is where the gas stop is going to come in much, much different. So here we go. We're going to put the gas stop in. And so here is our gas stop right here. And this is really simple to do. We're just going to take this and we're going to remove this. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And then this literally just goes in place. So you screw this on all the way down nice and tight. We bring the valve around so we can see it. And then we're going to put this back on over here so we can hear it. And so now, to get it to flow, we turn on the tank. Oh, and I'm not reading hardly anything. And we push this in a couple times. And you can hear that it starts to immediately flow when I push this down. And you usually just press it a couple times and it just lets the gas flow. But in this case, it's shutting right off because I have a leak somewhere. So we have to figure out what's going on. All right, let me do some research and we'll get back. Wow, this was literally a full tank yesterday. And it's almost completely empty. So these are supposed to be compression fittings, and then they use a little bit of Teflon tape or some putty, some plumber's putty. But in this case, not really sure what happened. Definitely got some residue on here, and we need to have some yellow Teflon tape that goes on here. You don't ever use white. It's got to actually be approved for being in a gas environment. And that's why it's yellow. So we're gonna have to go get some of the yellow tape and look at seeing if I just put a new one on, if that changes things. So let me go get that figured out and I'll be right back. All right, so we've removed the 30-pound propane tank, which means it's 7.5 gallons. And one of the things that I do when I'm doing all this is to check and make sure that my hold down straps are engaged. And then I have little U-clips that go in and hold it in place and lock it. That way we don't have an issue with our tanks falling out while we're going down the road. There's always a chance when you have messed with something while you're on the road that there's an opportunity for it to come undone. So the propane tank, I had to get some propane put back in it. It was almost completely empty. And now I've got to put the line back in where they used a putty So, we talked earlier about Teflon tape, and this is regular plumber's Teflon tape. It's just white, comes in a roll, probably Home Depot for 99 cents. And then this is actually a yellow tape. What's unique about this yellow tape is it's specifically designed for propane and gas environments. That's why it's yellow. And this is more consistent than pipe dope, because pipe dope can be installed incorrectly and not enough, and then guess what? You have a leak. So that's what we're going to fix right now. So I tried to do this last night, but the mosquitoes were incredibly bad. So we're back to the two different types of Teflon tape. This is the stuff for regular plumbing, and because this is yellow, it's designed to be used in propane gas situations. If you're connecting pipes, or in this case, the hose to the regulator itself, this is what you have to use, or you use pipe dope. They used pipe dope at the factory, but they didn't put enough on, so over a period of time, the pressure working its way through the threads actually opened up a small leak. That's what we heard earlier. And so we're going to put this back on and see how it all comes together. Typically 9 times out of 10 I would be using not standard wrenches, but wrenches that are designed to work with hydraulic hoses and stuff. They look a little bit different, but they're currently buried in the back of the truck somewhere. And I need to get this done before we move today, so we're going to be hightailing it out of Billy's place. We'd like to thank Miss Billy for giving us a spot, and if you guys are coming up here to work camp, make sure that you hit us in the comments down below, and we'll get back to you and tell you a great place to be able to park. So again, this is what we're on, this is what we'll be doing. So you can clearly see this discoloration on the threads, and that's where they had the pipe dope, and it's still kind of clogged. So I'm going to have to remove that. A little bit of fingernail action here, but we'll get rid of all that. And I'm just going to get a little wire brush and clean this up. Being it's copper, I want to use a copper brush on copper. And so here we are, copper brush. Thanks Harbor Freight. And we're just going to work to clean these threads. When you're doing this, you want to use like metal for like metal, because if I was using steel, steel is much harder than brass, and plastic probably wouldn't be enough to remove the smegma from the threads. And if I use a steel against the copper, I would actually damage the threads. That's why you want to try to keep like brass, like steel, and like plastic brushes in your toolbox. We're going to be starting a series for RVers called Know Before You Tow, and then towing with confidence, and then setting up and getting ready to enjoy camping. Could be an entire series. I've been asked numerous times to download the information that I have acquired in the last couple of years, and I come from a flying background and also a construction background, so hopefully we'll be able to help you guys out. If there's anything you'd like to see or anything you'd like us to cover, make sure you leave it in the comments below, and we'll make sure we add a video just for you. Alright, so I don't know, what do you think? It looks pretty good to me. Ran my fingernail through it. Still just a little bit right there, but everything else feels pretty good. So again, we'll get back to brushing. Take that down just a little bit. And now it's time to add some Teflon tape. Strangely enough, they feel almost the same, although the gas tape feels a little bit heavier. And you're just going to put it on, pull it down in the threads just a little bit with a little pressure on your thumb, and then we're going to lock it all the way around. there you go. Now we're going to reinstall it and do a leak check. The really cool thing about having our super duper capable handy gas stops is that anytime you get done with repair on propane, you're supposed to do a leak check. It's called a leak down. And so a leak down lets you put pressure in the system, and then you check over a period of time, 10 minutes or so, and make sure that there's nothing leaking. So once we put the pressure in here and we come back in 10 minutes, we'll be able to check and see where it's at and do a leak down. So not only does it prevent catastrophic loss of propane and put you in the chance of having a, shall we say, warm, bright event, it's also capable of doing a leak down to check and make sure that your system's correct. So something we always want to be aware of, especially if we've done any maintenance on the system. All right, here we go. We're going to go install this. I'm going to go see if I can find my hydraulic line wrenches and see if they fit. So this is a hydraulic wrench, and you can see that it actually slips in, but it provides extra support when you're tightening or loosening equipment. Really disconcerting, I can't find the one that's smaller than this, but I think this one's the right size. And so it is, but then the question becomes if I can get it on here and then get it off. And I don't think I can. And if I go any bigger, I'm not able to connect it. So in this situation, because of the collar that's on the hose, I can't slide this down. I can slide the hose in, but I can't get it up to the nut. But brass is very soft metal, and being able to use a hydraulic wrench is much a preferred method. So I guess I'll just have to use a standard like I used when I took it apart. But first we gotta go back through. Almost looks like a bell pipe, which is irrigation. Start this very carefully. You can see the advantage here is that Nuttin, which has a tendency to run, likes to push out the threads. Look at this. That's it. Press it. Provides a better seal. Now the big thing about this is cast, so I don't want to get the point where I tighten this down so much that I actually crack the threads on the outside, or crack the female part of the connection. So now we'll reinstall the old propane tank. without putting straps on it and see if we have seal. Whew. And so now we're going to get the gas stop. And we will install the gas stop. There's a commercial done years ago. It's so easy a caveman could do it. And I'm telling you, having the gas stops to the trailer, safety requirements. It is so easy a caveman. So we just put this up here. It's down. And one key. And the one key to getting gas to flow is once I turn on the tank, you can see that the needle moves, and I have to push this a couple times down to reset the bulb. And so now I'm still getting some kind of flow out of here. And I'm not sure where it's coming from. It's actually coming from the regulator. That's interesting. So I guess we're making a call to Alliance and having a new regulator sent out, because there's no way I can fix this thing back. And it failed. So I guess for now, that's all I can do video-wise. When I get the new parts, I'll install them and show you how it's all done. That line goes a long way, so I'm going to replace it right here. What does it look like? Well, that's where we're at for now. So we'll just leave this in its protect mode. We'll close up the tanks, put the tanks back in, and run off the other tank until we get the parts. But again, it's one of the reasons we bought Audiio, because they have the best customer service out there, hands down. And once again, a quick, simple way to secure your tanks is to get a locking ring, but we're going to always put the locking ring down and then snap it in place so that this can't come open at any time. And we'll just have to move the tank around a little bit. We'll get this one back in as well. All right, YouTube. Well, that's why we have gas stops. That's why we had gas stops on the other trailer, and I pulled them off. And that's why we want to make sure we always have them installed. So we'll talk to you soon, YouTube.